ass little Nazi bastard is what he is.
All right.
His whole family's Nazis. That's all they are. They brought all the Nazis in from World War II, gave them new names, and installed them our government. And that's what's wrong with our government right now. Kissinger was a Nazi.
Was he?
Yes.
Well, I had a lot of people asking about what your opinion was on Marilyn Monroe. But what we need to also establish real quick, though, is obviously, you know, who was she? Because, I mean, we know she was an actress, right? But then we also want to establish, like, why was she involved with the presidents? And was there a possibility that the Kennedys killed her?
I'm going to tell you about Marilyn Monroe. She was a poor girl, and she was beautiful. And she was married, I don't know, maybe a truck driver, a plain Joe that worked every day. And she figured out somehow how to get in, I don't remember, somehow how to get into the movies, but she was very self-conscious, and she'd look at her face and she'd see some little flaw, and she just couldn't, felt like she couldn't go out in public. She lacked self-esteem.
Right.
That Norman Mailer guy was good to her, and any little thing that bothered her, he tried to get fixed for her, so that she felt beautiful, and she was beautiful. Now, this is what I'll tell you. She was a little bitty woman. She wasn't very tall, 5'3", 5'4", 5'5", and she weighed like 145 pounds, so she wasn't any skinny little girl either.
Right.
She was what they called a meat and potatoes girl, meat on her butt and potatoes on her front end. All right? And she was the beauty queen because she died young and never got old, so she never was not beautiful.
Okay.
And the men all loved her, and she played the part of a dumb blonde. Her hair was actually what they call strawberry blonde. It was a light red, that pretty light red color was what her natural hair color was.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, she was a redhead. She wasn't really a blonde, but they made her blonde because she played the part of the dumb blonde. And the men really liked that. And actresses then, as they were in all time, they were farmed out to the wealthy men who would come to see them in their movies and stuff, who looked at them and lusted after them. They were farmed out over and over again, and the money was there, and this and that and everything. And she was, well, the mob is the CIA, truthfully.
Right.
That's the CIA, and President Kennedy liked her. Bobby Kennedy too, from what I can understand. I mean, like I said, she got passed around a lot.
Do you think she might have... was Epstein around then? I'm sure he was.
He'd have been pretty young then.
Okay.
See, John Kennedy would have been in his 30s, in his middle and late 30s. And Epstein's only 60 now, and that's 40 years ago, okay? Epstein went strictly into the child porn thing. That's a whole different story.
Okay.
But Marilyn Monroe was farmed out to all the wealthy men, all the men that would pay for her. And
maybe the Illuminati?
She made her movies. What?
Do you think maybe it could have been involved with the Illuminati, like Judy Garland and all them other people that back in the day?
The Illuminati has been the underlying. It's like the oh shoot. Well, anyways, we're not gonna get the Illuminati into this, okay?
Okay.
That's a whole different story. But the Illuminati has always been the rich and powerful, like the Masonic, okay?
Okay.
They're always underneath running things. But this is, right now, who's really running things is the CIA. And the CIA is Swiss-based. It's not American.
Right, you said that before. And so why do we call the CIA like a a government agency, though. Like,
Yeah, why? Okay, why do we call the Federal Reserve a government? Why do we think that's our money? It's not ours.
right.
It's a private company. People think it's the United States government's money. It's not. But anyways, let's go back to Marilyn Monroe.
All right.
She was found out, and she was smart. Okay? She played a dumb blonde part, but she was smart. She's the one that said, and this is a Marilyn Monroe quote, I'd rather have a president that would screw a woman than a president that would screw his whole country. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, my phone went dark, so I wasn't sure. Because President Kennedy was trying, he was not screwing his country.
Right.
He was the one that was not screwing his country. And that's where that quote came from, okay?
Okay.
That was Marilyn Monroe's words. And I used to have a whole book of her quotes. And she was a sharp woman. But there again, she was a movie star, and she filled the part, and they were all fucking with her, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. The president liked her, and someplace in there they got afraid that she told somebody too much. Too much bedroom talk got the wrong way, and she got murdered. Now, she didn't commit suicide. She got murdered.
Yeah, I saw that she had, they had estimated that she had taken 40 pills of something, which was well above the fatal amount, and then she was discovered holding a phone, and she was naked. And like one of the theories said that, the Kennedys did do it because they were afraid she was going to blab.
No, it wasn't the Kennedys that was afraid she was going to blab. But Bobby Kennedy did go in there and clean the scene up to make sure there wasn't anything from John Kennedy in there to cause trouble, okay?
All right.
And still, if you're in the right circle, you get into Hollywood and clean the scene up so that you're not in the right, so that you're not implicated. And he was, by being the president, they did that. But somebody OD'd her. She didn't OD herself.
Who do you think it was?
I think it was the CIA.
How would they have gotten in there, hypothetically? If you're going to set something up like this, how would they have gotten into her room and given her all those drugs? Through a drink? Because she did have drug and alcohol problems.
Which one was she fucking right then?
I don't know.
You don't know who was already in her room. You don't know who was going back and forth to her room every day. Don't think they didn't have a calendar for her. Who she was supposed to be fucking when, all right?
Uh-huh.
Don't think they didn't have a calendar for her. They were selling her. And that's been what Hollywood was for years and years and years and years. It's not quite that much at that now, but there's plenty of it now. Don't think there isn't, because a lot of those are your MK Ultra sex slaves. A lot of those women, they're in Hollywood, or that's where they fit in, all right?
Mm-hmm.
In our new. But yeah, no, she was murdered because they were afraid. There was too much bedroom talk. They was afraid what she might tell, and what she might tell, and what the president might actually know. And see, he wasn't going along with the program. He was shutting down the Federal Reserve. And these are rich and powerful men that own Hollywood. And a lot of them are the Jewish men that own the Federal Reserve. All right?
Right.
They own the world.
And they own us.
And they own us. We are basically enslaved. We are enslaved. And that's another whole story about your birth certificate and how it's sold on the stock market, how you're sold on the stock market.
Yeah, we'll have to do that in another podcast because I definitely want to cover that. Do you think that there might have been another theory here that said a renowned wiretapper, Bernard Spindle, who had bugged Monroe's house, possibly on orders of crooked union leader Jimmy Hoffa or Chicago Mafia boss, do you think that might have been part of it, or are you really pretty sure that it was the CIA?
what you don't understand is the mob boss is all connected with the CIA.
Right, that's what I thought.
Kennedy is the one who was on the other side. Kennedy is the one who was on the other side. And on one side was the Kennedys, and one side was the CIA and the mob boss, because they're all the same one. Jimmy Hoffa was the union boss, and he interacted with the mob boss and the CIA and everything. He was the union boss.
Yep, you're right.
Okay? He was the union. Jimmy Hoffa was the union boss, but he was screwing with her too. The mob boss was screwing with her. The mob boss is the CIA. The mob and the CIA is all one group, okay? But the CIA likes to separate themselves from them, because CIA is, they're above all that, but they're not. They're right in the middle of it. That's where they're getting their money. They're getting their money from all the illegal activities to do more illegal activities. And that's why the American people don't know how they get so much money to spend to undermine our government. But the CIA is a big one that's undermined our government from the beginning. The CIA is more connected to the UN than they are to the United States.
Okay.
And the UN has taken over our government at this point. But yeah, no, Marilyn Monroe didn't commit suicide. She was OD'd.
I'm just curious as to how somebody would have pulled that off. I mean, 40 pills, that's a lot of pills.
You don't know how many pills she had. You don't know if she had a shot. You don't know what they did to her.
Right, they could have laid the pills out as kind of like a visual evidence.
They could have flushed them down the toilet. You don't know what she had and what she didn't have in her. Do you have the official autopsy? Was the official autopsy? Was it really an official autopsy, or was it like President Kennedy's, where they boogered him all up so they couldn't tell things when they did do the autopsy?
I haven't been able to find the autopsy report. I'm looking.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, there again, you don't know if it was fixed or if it wasn't fixed, because they fixed all that stuff.
Sure.
Don't think they don't go fix that stuff, okay?
Right.
They fix it to be what they need it to be, to make the public believe what they need the public to believe. And anything else is locked up and kept secret. It's like 2 semi-truckloads of ballots in Florida that have never been counted, but the court appointed George Bush to be president.
Right. And
they didn't even count.
And the Obama birth certificate cover-up, that too. I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on, and people need to know the truth.
People need to know the truth, and that's what Julian Assange was doing with WikiLeaks, was giving people the truth. And look what they're doing to him.
Right.
Because they don't want the truth out under any circumstances. They're going to kill him because they don't want the truth out under any circumstances.
I'm kind of wondering why Snowden hasn't been killed. I'm kind of got my thoughts about that too. Like, do you think
they haven't gotten to him yet? They want to, but they can't get to him. Okay.
Or do you think the government put him up to tattle on certain things so that it could look like he was a hero?
No. I think Snowden's okay. I think if they could really get to him, they'd get to him. I think when they get done with the one, they'll go for another one. If they don't, if doing away with the one doesn't shut them up, then they'll go for the next one. Okay. They've had a hard time getting Julian Assange, but they got him at this point. They're planning on doing away with him.
I'm sure.
They're planning on doing away with him.
I mean, you can't mess with the government, because people think that they can just do whatever, and that, but one way or the other, they're going to get their way.
He was with the end. Well, he wasn't even an American citizen. He shouldn't be under American law. He's not an American citizen. But our government decided they were going to take him down anyways.
Right.
And the testament to what Trump really is the fact that he hasn't stepped in and pardoned him and said, going home. That's a testament to what Trump really is.
Mm-hmm.
What has Trump done to shut down the Federal Reserve? I'm still waiting to see.
I don't know if he'll be allowed to. I think too many people will get in his way.
Well, is he trying? What's he done to kick the UN out of the United States?
I don't think they want to do that because there's too much benefit for us to be in the UN.
So he's not a president for the people still. There's no benefit to being in the UN.
Well, we know that, but they're like car salesmen.
The UN only sucks from us. The UN is mad about the American people. They say we expect too much, and they're going to take it away from us.
No, they might have a point.
They want to give everybody in the world $1,000 a month, and you know who's supposed to pay it?
Us?
American people.
Yeah.
The American people, yes. No, the testament to what Trump really is, no matter what they say, is he working on getting rid of the UN? Is he working on getting rid of the Federal Reserve? No. Is he gonna pardon Julian Assange? We'll see. Julian Assange is a true hero and a true patriot. None of our presidents have been since Jimmy Carter and President Kennedy. And President Kennedy was really smart, and he knew what was going on, and he talked about it in different ways. And I ran into somebody one time that told me before when he was wanting to run for election, Frank Sinatra and would have been Jimmy Dean, and there was another one, were with Jimmy Hoffa. Okay, now you're talking. Now this is the bunch. Okay, they're all in the same tune together. Hollywood is the CIA. Jimmy Hoffa is the union boss, and President John Kennedy's wanting to run for president.
Right.
And what they said was, it'd be all right. Can we control him? And Frank Sinatra said he'll be all right. He'll be okay. But you see, he got out of control.
Well, there was a theory about that he had won the election because he had promised the mob a whole bunch of stuff they wanted and never delivered. And
No. He didn't win the election because of that. He won the election because the American people were tired of the Eisenhower bullshit, which was like the Reagan bullshit.
right.
It was tax the poor people to death and cut the wages and just gung ho for all the rich. And the working people, and that's when the unions rose, and people died over the unions rising, and people don't have any idea. Now we've lost all of our union benefits that people died to get. Pensions and stuff, that's all gone. Health insurance, it's all gone. Minimum wage, it's all gone. It's all gone. You know it is. You know I'm right on that. It's not out there. You go out there and try and find some benefits for a worker. They're hard to come by. Unless you're white collar. Then you get a little bit depending on where you fit in white collar. But, no, I'm talking about Frank Sinatra, and there was a man here. This was here in Port Charlotte. I saw somebody, and I can't remember his name, and he wasn't interested in letting me have any more information on him. But he told me about it. He said that I never researched it any further. Well, I killed my computer research. My computer got killed because I was researching stuff. Okay.
Right.
But Frank Sinatra, Jimmy Dean, and Jimmy Hoffa were all talking together in their little group, and John Kennedy wanted to run for president, and the question was, but can we control him? And Frank Sinatra said he'll do all right. And so they let him run for president. But see, when it come down to it, they weren't able to control him. And they started by killing Marilyn Monroe, who he was fucking with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were all fucking her, okay?
Well, Bobby Kennedy had his little spell with her too, right?
Yeah. Well, you don't know how many did, okay? All of them were. All the important men in the world who wanted her just made a date. like I said, she had a calendar that was run by Hollywood. I mean, this powerful men and their sex queens has always been since the beginning of time.
Right.
So what about Clinton? Yes, he had him a girlfriend. Little Georgie Porgy putting in pie, took his woman with him. He took that. Who's the black woman that he took to Washington with him? She was his main fuck. You know who I'm talking about. Can't think of her name.
I can't either.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know it.
She was his main fuck, and he took her to Washington with him for that reason, okay? She stayed at the White House.
Right.
She stayed at the White House, okay? She wanted her hand there, right? So, you know, I don't care what. I just go back to Marilyn Monroe's statement. I'd rather have a president that would fuck a woman, okay, that would screw a woman, than a president that would screw his whole country.
Right.
And with George Bush, we got a president who would screw his whole country.
Absolutely.
With Obama, we got a president who would screw his whole country. Oh, I mean, you just want to talk, which one you want to talk about? Screw the country. Old Georgie, Clinton, then you get to, these people's names are all named in Kathy O'Brien's testimony before Congress about the child pedophile deal. About them taking the children, Gerald Ford, about he saw this little girl that he liked when he went to the school and talked, and he got them to take her away from her parents so that they could follow him around. She could go to, so that she could do a blowjob for him before he'd go and do a public speech.
Really?
Oh, yes. Put her in child welfare so that they could cart her around wherever he was doing a public speech so that she could do a blowjob. A little girl, 9-year-old girl, that would do a blowjob for him before he'd go do a speech every time, okay? So he'd feel big and powerful.
And how'd they keep that under the rug?
How'd they keep the child pedophile ring under the rug? This is a child pedophile thing.
Right.
Okay? They've taken the children out of child welfare. Some parents are selling their kids to it. You know there are parents that don't give a flying fuck about their kids.
Oh yeah.
All right? Kathy O'Brien testified about this before Congress in a congressional hearing in about 86 or 87. And that congressional hearing, that stuff has been published. You should read about it. That's what this child pedophile thing is all about. The Pizzagate and all of it. And I said, if they will prosecute it, over 90% of our public officials at the state level will go down, and we'll get a new government.
Yeah, and they don't want to do that because that's going to be hell on earth.
Yes, they got rid of Epstein, or they put him undercover someplace.
You notice there was absolutely zero coverage on Epstein's funeral.
There's absolutely zero coverage on Epstein at all at this point. It's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're allowing the people who filed charges against him to go on and speak. Why? For what purpose?
Well, they made a big production on Michael Jackson's funeral. He was allegedly a child molester too, although he was found not guilty. But, I mean, come on, I can't take that as a reason here.
You know what? Michael Jackson. No, I was talking about Prince. Prince was killed because the people that own the Federal Reserve, the Jews that run the music industry and everything, were able to take everything he had finally by killing him.
Who, Prince or Jackson?
Prince.
Okay.
And Michael Jackson, I don't know a lot about him. I know he was a very talented man. That's all I know.
He was very talented, but he was, again, very similar to Marilyn Monroe. He was mixed up in the whole Hollywood media thing.
You're right.
And he couldn't get out because it's like, well, now you have to do this. Now you have. It's no different than Judy Garland. They wanted to give her the pills to make her skinny so she could look like she was 13, and she really was 15 or 16 when she did the movie Wizard of Oz. And then it was,
Yeah.
now you have to do this, now you have to do this, now you have to do this. And spent a whole life in misery.
Well, Scott, then let's go one more step. Disney World. The contracts they used to put those children under, and now it's, and it's in that testimony, in Kathy O'Brien's testimony, she talks about Walt Disney, the pedophile.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look at that.
Cartoons were drawn to draw children in for child pedophilery. Okay? That's what he worked on. And the CIA built the castle in Disney World for porn and snuff porn movies to do away with the MK Ultra slaves.
Yeah, I mean, you could be right there, because there's really no way to get into that castle.
Hey, Scott, I know I'm right. It's been stated in a congressional hearing and recorded. That has been stated in a closed congressional hearing and recorded and now printed. Yes, that's right. That's true.
Wow.
There's no conspiracy theory. That's true. Get Kathy O'Brien's testimony, Transformation America. Read it. Read it. I read it on my computer. And I'm telling you, there's no, I mean, this was a congressional hearing, a closed congressional hearing. That's the castle in Disney World. That's what it was built for by the CIA. You tell me the CIA couldn't do away with Marilyn Monroe and cover it up?
Oh, I'm sure they could, yeah.
They've covered up the child pedophile stuff all these years because they used this to toe in world leaders. And the ones that don't toe in, like Gaddafi, okay, then they go in and they blow up the country.
What was the name of that testimony again?
Kathy O'Brien's testimony before Congress. It was called Transformation America. It used to be for sale on Amazon, but I don't know if it is anymore because I haven't been able to get on Amazon and buy and get stuff like I used to could.
Okay.
Transformation America, but it's not. Some of the words are not quite right because it was run through one of those machines that types it out. You know, I'm talking about a transcriber.
Right.
And you know, sometimes they'll get words just a little misspelled and stuff. It was run straight through there, and it's the testimony that she gave before Congress. And she was an MK Ultra slave. If you get into it and you actually read this stuff, you begin to know. At first, it's disbelief as you read it.
Right.
And nobody could be like this. Nobody could be this bad. Nobody would really do this. But then you begin to see it and you know. And Joe Biden's another pedophile, all right?
Right.
But the Clintons' names are named in there. They're all named in there. The Prince of England, all of them's named in that testimony. The ones that are saying they didn't do it, Epstein said they did. They did away with Epstein or put him into hiding. And they're saying, oh, no, they didn't do that. Well, they did, and it's in Kathy O'Brien's testimony, too. Okay? The truth comes out.
And now they got to cover it up.
Well, what are they doing with the Pizzagate thing? Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, what did they do with Epstein? They put him into hiding. He probably has a whole new face at this point.
Yeah, I'm not so sure he's actually dead.
And everything else, I don't think he's dead. He's not dead. They all owe him too much. They just put him into hiding and so that he can pull his stuff together again for them all to go screw over their little children.
Right.
And that Neparu from whatever his name is, how do you pronounce his name? From Israel.
Oh, I don't know. That sounds about right. Let me see.
If you can figure out how to pronounce his name, I'd like to know. Because I don't know how to pronounce it. I just see it as such a mess of letters that I don't. I don't pronounce it right, but I know he's just no good. He's as no good, as bad as anybody in the world.
Let me see.
And that Epstein fella, he may have been a patsy too, as far as that goes. He just run the show for them all, made a lot of money, and they liked it, and they made sure he was taken care of. And they've taken care of him now too. Don't think they haven't.
Yeah, they got to make it look good. They got to make it look like it was genuine suicide or whatever, and they probably ran him out the back door. That's my honest opinion.
They have to make it look good enough that people quit asking questions. Oh, well, he died. He killed himself.
Yeah, they've been doing this for decades.
He killed himself because he was a child pedophile. Or it won't get out. They won't let anything else out for 50 years. It's like President Kennedy. They don't want anything out about who really murdered him, the CIA. They've kept it under wraps. Bricked into a closed crypt in the basement of the White House all these years because it would cause an overthrow of our government if people really knew the truth. Now, what does that tell you and that's what was said. That's the words that those are quoted words.
Well, and what they did release was kind of useless. I mean, it was a lot of bullshit documents that really didn't make a lot of sense.
That's right, because they don't want anything released. We're not supposed to know anything, but people start putting two to two together, and when they could get on the internet and put notes together, they started really putting stuff together. Before that, people were scattered and could not coordinate their information.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they want to shut down the internet. And they do want to shut it down. That's why they want to shut down the internet, because people are putting too much information together. Julian Assange could get information out there. Everybody could read those emails.
Right.
Read the email where Hillary tells them just to go on and kill that guy.
Yep.
Read it.
I saw it.
That's her words.
I sure did. I saw that for sure.
Okay. Look at some of the others. He highlights the important words, but you can read the whole thing because he don't say, well, this is what I say. It's not like after the president speaks, they have somebody come on and tell you what they think he said or what they think it means. No, if you listen to what he has to say, and then you decide on what he means.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Hell with these commentators that are political propagandists. As I said, I'm still waiting to see if he's going to do anything or if he's just another patsy in the box. Okay?
Government's full of patsies, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Hard to get there if you're not a patsy in the box. They will say when they want to run for election like President Kennedy, but can we control him? He'll be okay. He'll be all right.
Right.
And if he's not, they'll kill him. Because that's why Trump wanted to stay in Trump Tower instead of go to the White House. So the CIA and the FBI would not be in charge of his security. Because the FBI, George Bush, old Georgie, Daddy Georgie, was the head of the unit that was assigned to kill President Kennedy.
Yep. He worked for the CIA, right?
One or the other, yes. Little Georgie was for the CIA. Was with the CIA too. Old Georgie was the head of the unit that was assigned to kill President Kennedy, and then he became our president. That tells you right there, he ain't got nothing good going for us.
Right.
None of them do. Yeah, that was his job, was to make sure that went down right and President Kennedy got killed. That was his job. And Oswald tried to warn Kennedy more than once. He warned it off in Chicago, and it didn't go down there.
It's amazing to me how all this stuff has ever happened. I mean, Marilyn Monroe, Kennedy, all this stuff has ever happened, and it can get swept under the rug like dust on the floor. But if you and I run out and rob a bank, we're going to get caught.
Oh, honey, if I go out and jaywalk.
Right.
The cops went after me in Indianapolis for jaywalking. All right?
It's insane.
All right? Now, I mean, I can't do anything. I have a neighbor man try to run over me with his truck on the sidewalk, and the police wrote the report that I'm mentally unstable. I walk past his house yelling obscenity at him. It was 5 or 6 times a day. At that time, I couldn't even walk, okay? I was just out of rehab. All right? And you know what the judge told me?
What?
The judge told me to go home and grow up. I asked for a protective order, and the judge told me to go home and grow up. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Go home and grow up.
Wow.
Okay?
Well,
Yeah.
there's another fine example of what an elected official will fucking do.
No, I don't walk on the sidewalk here. I can't walk any place here because I'm afraid to. No, Charlotte County's a hole to fall into, all right?
Uh-huh. Pasco ain't much better.
It's got all of these New Yorkers that come down here that think they learned from New York how to screw everybody over real good. And so they want in government, and then they start screwing everybody over every way they can figure out how to. And they think nobody knows anything, but then because they're from New York. Right? So why would you come to Florida if you like New York so well? Oh, well, in New York you didn't have any power. They were just little nobodies in New York. But here they have a good pension check, and they can push stuff around a little bit and look high and mighty, all right?
Right.
Or yes, I'm a slow Joe, and I'm not very impressed by high and mighty, so they got to impress on me how important they are, all right? That's my trouble here. That's my trouble.
And that goes all the way to the top, because, I mean, even, you know, presidents and Congress people, they got to impress people on how important they are.
And I'm not too impressed, okay? I'm not too impressed. But the things I told you tonight, you know, they're just stepping stones, and they all lead to the same thing. Marilyn Monroe was a little cog. And by killing her and saying she was screwing around with President Kennedy, and she committed suicide because she was in love with President Kennedy. That was a big political ploy. That was a big propaganda ploy. It was a news thing, you know. It was and that's all it was. And it didn't go far enough because Bobby Kennedy went and cleaned it up, so they couldn't put it like that. So then it was just a drug overdose.
Wow.